Hi, welcome back. In this class, I will be going through some deeper understanding as you begin back bends. All right, so where do you begin back bends? They can be frightening, they can be something that gives you pain if you're not doing it correctly. So I'm just going to go through some basic principles and we'll do a few poses so that you have a better, clearer understanding.
Before we get started, if you want to learn the basics of Iyengar Yoga,
I've designed a new course, Foundational Iyengar Yoga. This course is for you if you're a beginner, if you've been practicing for a while and you just want to deepen your understanding, or if you're a teacher and you would like to be more inspired, go back to the basics. So it's a 6-week course, 18 different classes, and you'll be able to go through at your own pace.
you can find more details in the description box below.
Okay, so important are the shoulders, important is the spine, because we're bending back. We're doing something that we don't usually do. We're always bending forward. So we're not used to bending back. So it's a little bit different for us in terms of how we think about it, and even can be scary. All right, so the hips are involved, the legs are involved, and the hands and the feet. So every part of you is involved, including the head. When you start to go back, your neck lengthens and your head goes back. So we'll just start here in Tadasana, and we'll go to the wall, and from here, we're going to come a little bit closer to the wall, and I'm bringing my pelvis to the wall, so I'm getting a little bit into that back bending action. So the pelvis goes to the wall. Now here, you need to know that the tailbone moves in and down. The legs are straight. So I keep the thighs moving away from the wall, but the buttock and this middle buttock is moving toward the wall. And then you can use your fingertips at the wall. Lengthen the front abdomen, so the front body is long and the spine is moving in toward the wall. Fingertips at the wall, thighs moving away, and as I press my fingers, move my shoulders back, lengthen the back of the head, lengthen the neck. You can also keep the head up if there's any strain in your neck. So then take the hands a little bit lower, move your shoulders back, move the elbows back, lift the chest. Again, resist the thighs, moving toward the wall. Move them back, middle buttocks in. Okay, so you can feel that movement of the back moving in opposite direction. So now you're going to take your strap and measure it so the distance is shoulders distance apart. And you'll take your stand in Tadasana, feet together, and then you'll bring your arms back. So stretch back through the arms and lengthen from the shoulder down through the fingertips. As you bring your arms back, move your chest forward. So I'm starting to move the spine into the body, and I again resist the thighs from going forward. I move the thighs back, tailbone, middle buttocks in, opening through the front groin, and lengthening from the pelvis up. So we're not going into a back bend, but I just want you to be aware of the thighs moving back, buttocks moving forward, shoulders moving back, and extend the arms. Shoulder blades moving down. Now you can go into a little bit of a back bend, lift the front ribs, lift the chest, absorb the spine into the body as you draw your arms back. And now take your hands on your hips, elbows towards one another, lift the chest. Strong action with the inner thighs rolling back, inner knees moving back. And my thumb is right on my tailbone. So that's a guide for me to move the tailbone forward, move the middle buttocks forward, lift from the backs of the thighs up, and then come back up. So when we bend backwards, we don't want to bring compression to the lower back. So if you felt any compression there, take your feet a little bit wider, and we'll do that again. So hands on your hips, thumb at your tailbone. Press down into the feet, lift up through the knees, move the thighs back, lift up through the chest. And with that strap on your elbows, keep the elbows moving towards one another, which then has your shoulder blades moving, the outer edges of your shoulder blades moving towards one another. Pressing the buttock forward, lengthen the front body. Keep your head lifted so you're looking straight ahead. Lengthen the lower back, but at the same time, lift the bottom ribs up. So you're making space there between the bottom ribs and the lower back and getting that curve. Finally, just looking up. And then release. You can take the strap off. And you can just hold on to the strap in case you need it. We're going to go into Gomukhasana. So in back bending, we're taking arms back when we're doing Urdhva Dhanurasana. So we're going to do a little bit of preparation for the shoulders. All right, so bringing one arm up. Take the strap in the top hand. If you don't know if you need the strap, then have it in the top hand. And then this arm is turning from the outside toward the inside. Take the other arm, walk the hand up the strap, collarbones wide, move that shoulder back, move the elbow back, and you're not doing a back bend here, but you're opening through the armpit area. So lengthen the whole underneath arm and absorb the spine into the body. Resist the thighs back. So you're in Tadasana, middle buttocks forward, thighs back, reach the arm up. If you don't need the strap, you catch hold of the fingers. And isolate that awareness in the upper arm and the bottom arm pulling down away from it. Release. And now going to the other side. You can also take the arm up and give it the direction. So press the arm up, outer arm is turning in, armpit area is lifting, opening, walk your hand down your back. So you're not doing a back bend here. I was protruding my ribs out a bit just to show you, but the front ribs come back toward the back ribs, all right? So take the arm out to the side, catch the fingers, and then lift up. So my left arm is up now, my right shoulder, move it back, and lift the right armpit area. So I lengthen through the right side of the trunk. Just be there, observe what you feel, lengthen into it, soften, roll the shoulder back, lift the top arm up, and pulling down with that bottom elbow. Feel the hand right at the back, draw the spine into the body from there. And then release, extend out, Tadasana. Okay, now we're going to take our hands behind us. So this is Baddha Hastasana. It teaches us to roll the shoulders back. And as we roll the shoulders back, the outer shoulder blades come closer to the spine. Okay, from there, we're going to go into Paschima Namaskar. So turning the hands, walking the hands up, fingers up, all the fingers pressed against one another. Press into the palms. Feel that extension through the hands. Roll your shoulders back. And then bring the feet together to Tadasana. Thighs moving back as the middle buttocks moves forward. Lift the chest. Just press all the fingers against one another and observe if you feel any tension, any pain anywhere. Just breathe into it. If you have a wrist injury, that maybe you want to do the first one I showed you. Other than that, this helps to create some circulation in the wrist, in the hands, in the fingers. Connection from the hands to the arms to the shoulders. Just stay there with whatever sensation you feel. Move your front ribs back as you move the buttocks forward and lift the chest. Observe your breath. Observe the conversation in your mind. There's a lot of tension there. You want to get out of it. Can you be there? Can you be there with what you feel? Can you be present with that? Release the arms. Come into Tadasana. Release the wrist. Let the fingers extend down toward the floor. Okay. Now we're going to go down on the floor. So you can have a blanket or a towel if you're sensitive on your pelvis. If you're having your cycle right now, you would not be doing backbending, any strenuous backbending. Okay, so now you'll have a strap. And you'll come down so that the fronts of the thighs are on the blanket. And I'm using the blanket so you can see here. Oftentimes when we come down, the front groin is lifted up. So this is the middle buttocks where when I was against the wall, I said move that buttock to the wall. So here, again, tailbone is moving down, middle buttock is moving down. And if you just lift each leg, it will help to release the front groin and stretch the leg so the whole thigh is lengthening. Okay, so you're extending the toes down, you're on the fronts of the ankles. And there's no longer that space there. So moving that down. All right, so now you're going to come onto your elbows, press your forearms down. Press your feet down. And like when we were standing, I want to make some space in this middle part of the lower back. So the tailbone is, the top of the buttock is moving away, back of the buttock is lifting. And then from there, I'm scooping my back ribs away and I'm lengthening the front ribs. So here, before I just move up and go into a back bend, I'm preparing the soil. I'm preparing the surface. So my back needs to be lengthened. Front body needs to be lengthened. And there needs to be some softness. Those back ribs moving in. Using the hands, lift the chest. Keep your feet active. So you can have your feet hips distance right now. Press the feet down. Lift the kneecaps up. And lift the chest. Like in twisting, we always want to lengthen first, and then we start to twist. So here we're lengthening, and then we start to lift. You can take your hands a little bit forward now. I have them off the mat. You can have them on the mat. And press the hands, and just feel the power of the hands connecting to the floor. Lift the chest. Lift the front ribs. Keep the hips down. Curving the upper back. Stay with your breath. And then coming down, you're going to take your hands closer to you. Keep the elbows in towards you, and you'll press into the hands and lift the shoulders away from the floor. So here, I'm letting the front ribs come away from the floor. I'm lengthening and then pressing with the hands, curving that upper back. So I'm not straightening the elbows. I'm not straightening the arms. I'm staying with that bend to action to curve the back. In this position, the pelvis is stable, and the legs are active, and we're getting that length and that lift. Okay, just to show you, this is Bhujangasana. In the final pose, you're bringing your feet together. So you can try that, but if you feel any tension, then you just take your legs apart so that there's no tension in the lower back until you've practiced long enough. And so take your hands closer to your chest, and then pressing up, stay with the bend to action, not lifting your shoulders like this. This is what I see sometimes. People straighten their arms and the shoulders are lifting up. So you want your shoulders moving away. You want that length through your neck. You want your pelvis on the floor. So sometimes I'll see this. Pelvis is off the floor. The pelvis is meant to be on the floor, and then from the pubic bone, you're getting that length. Okay? All right, now you're going to have a strap. So I take my strap. We're going to bring the strap around the feet, around the ankles. And so find your ankles, find your feet, and then you're going to hold the strap and flex your toes. So again, you want to bring the front groin down onto the floor, pelvis on the floor, and use your arms to hold onto that strap. Use your feet to move your chest away from the floor. Keep your thighs down. Press your knees, curving the back. I think I need 2 straps. Okay, you'll take your feet in the straps. So individually, have 2 straps. Have it right around your ankle. Bend your knees and walk your hands down towards your ankles. Flex the feet. Adjust your thighs so that front groin is moving onto the floor. And then you're going to press your shins away, holding the strap, press the feet away, and lift your chest. Pubis is touching the floor, tailbone is moving down. Roll your shoulders back. Lift the front chest. And then release. Okay, now you're extending your straps and you're holding on above your shoulders. Okay? We're going to keep the legs lifting up and stretching back, and we're going to use the strap to help us lift the legs. So again, the pubis stays down, tailbone moves in. You're activating the buttocks, so there's contraction in the buttocks, but not so much that it's contracting around the tailbone area and the lower back. Okay, so there's a firmness that's brought from the outer thighs and the glutes. And then you're going to raise your legs up and then stretch your arms out. So you're lifting the legs, you're extending the arms forward, lifting the thighs off the floor, and you're getting a little curve to the back. Looking forward. Shoulders are moving down. Breathe. All right, come down. And now you can take your straps off. And you'll just have one strap, and you'll bring it back for your arms, like we started with the arms before. Hands behind. So come down first, and then you're going to put your strap on. So be right on the front of the pelvis, fronts of the thighs. Adjust your thighs. And now I'm going to use my feet pressing down onto the mat. Press the feet down, so make sure you're on the mat. Kneecaps are lifted, and I'm extending my arms back to lift my chest. Tailbone is down, middle buttocks down. And then come down. Now you're going to lift your legs like we did before. So we lifted them with the strap, which made it a lot easier to bring the legs up. Now you're lifting the legs up and extending the arms back, simultaneously lifting the arms, lifting the legs, looking forward. And come down. Take your strap away. And I'm going to have you get 2 blocks. Okay, so these blocks are going to be back here by the hands, by the arms. Let's see which position we need. So have the hands pressing down into the blocks, and then you can lift the legs up, press the hands, and lift the chest. And then bring the arms out. Lift the fronts of the thighs, buttocks down, extend. And then coming down. Okay, go into Adho Mukha Svanasana. Bring your hands to the front of the mat. Lengthen the back. Move the thighs back. Extend the calves. You can bring your head onto the block. So pressing the hands down, lift up through the arms, all the way back through the shoulders. Move the hips back, front thighs moving back, and extend your heels down toward the floor. So I lowered the block. So depending on the height, and then coming down. Okay, so if you had any compression in your back, taking that downward dog helps to get that length, right? Okay, so we're going to use a chair, and to help us get into that back bending action, it's a more passive back bend, and you can hold it a little bit longer. But there's a lot of understanding that comes through this. So you'll come into the chair, bring your feet in. Depending on your body condition, you can always use a couple blocks at the wall to bring your heels on. If you've been doing back bends and you just wanted to do this practice today and you can bring your feet onto the floor, you can always extend your heels into the wall. I'm just going to show this with the blocks. So those of you that are just beginning, you'll have a beginning place. So I'm coming down, tailbone is lengthening, bring my feet up onto the blocks. And from here, I can tell that I'm a little bit too close to the wall to be able to extend my leg. So before I go further, I'll just take the chair out a bit. So you'll learn to figure out what the best distance is after you do it a few times. So I'm using the mat to hook the buttocks, to lengthen the lower back. And then from here, before I go too much further, I'm going to use my hands, press, let the shoulder blades, let the chest lift, and the shoulder blades start to move down. So already I'm getting into this back bending action. Okay? And press the hands a little bit more, release the head, just making sure the shoulders are released, but you're not all the way down. So you're just off the shoulders, off the shoulder blades. And now I'm taking my feet to the wall, toes first, and then stretch the heels, lengthen the backs of the legs. The more you connect with the heels, the more you can descend the thighs. So it's important. We learned about the thighs on the floor. So now here the whole front body is toward the ceiling. So the same action. The thighs are moving away. Before, the thighs were pressing down. Shoulder blades are moving into the body, and the head is releasing. Okay? From here, I'm going to take my arms underneath, which is really nice to open the shoulders a little bit further. So I hold onto the chair, roll the shoulders back, and then just stay there. Now, if I'm in this pose and I feel like I could go a little bit deeper, you could bring your heels to the front of the block and release your head and your shoulders out a little bit. So if you found yourself a little too close and you needed to release a little bit, without coming out of the chair, I brought my heels right to the front of the block, and I'm drawing my toes back toward me. Thighs are descending. You can take your arms out, and then you can bring your arms forward, face one another. So the thighs are strongly descending, the heels are strongly pressing into that wall or the block as you extend your arms. So if you've been practicing a little while, then you can do this. If you don't have that connection with your legs, then practice with your hands underneath the bar and get that rotation of your shoulders and that learning that needs to take place with the activation of the legs and the thighs. Now I'm going to take my hands on the chair and I'm going to slide down a little bit further. So I'm coming down in a different place on the back. I'll keep the feet on the floor, hips distance apart, and just let my back curve there. Let my back round. Let the head release down. If you have any kind of neck issue or this is not feeling good in the neck, you can support the head with a blanket or a bolster. Just making sure not to take too much. You don't want to jam the neck. So this is a nice release for the neck. The shoulders are moving up away from the back of the head. Stay there for a few more breaths. Moving the abdomen down. Chest lifted. Thighs parallel to one another, feet pressing into the floor. Holding onto that chair, roll the shoulders back. All right, and then coming up, take your hands back onto the chair bar. Move your hips into the chair so you feel that you're on the pelvis in such a way that you can lift up. So I have one foot in front and one foot staggered behind the other one a little bit. Pressing into the feet, lift the spine up and come back to the seated pose, Bharadvajasana. Use your arms on the back of the chair and lengthen up. Just be there for a few breaths. And then we're going to use this opportunity with the chair to have a little twist here to release any tension in the back. So after we've been doing back bends or in the middle, we often do some twisting to release the back. So the tailbone, top of the buttocks moving down. Use the hand at the back of the chair. And if you're quite tall or your shoulders are lifted up, you can take your hand down a little bit lower, depending on your chair. Bring your feet together, your knees together. Inhale, lift. Exhale, turn. Stay with the breaths. Aware of where you are in your sitting bones. Stay even on both sitting bones. As you turn, this leg likes to move back. So lengthening this leg forward. As this opposite leg draws back. Starting to turn. And then release. So you're not going to do a very deep back bend, but we'll do it a couple times just to release the back. Or, I'm sorry, you're not going to do a very deep twist, but just enough to release. So the spine is vertical from the tailbone descending. Lift up through the crown of the head. Exhale, turn. Roll your shoulder back. And then release. Okay, you're going to come out of the chair now. Move your chair to the side. And we're going to come into one of the other poses that we learned in the beginning to have a better understanding of back bending actions. You're going to take the strap, bring it around the ankles like we did before. Okay, and bring it a little tighter so that you have a firm grip and it's not going to be slipping. Okay? Pull it to the back. And then you'll lay down on your back. Bring the feet in close to you. And take those straps, pulling the ankles in, and at the same time. So when you come into this, if you're going to do a back bend, the shape is rounded, right? So you have to lift up and then roll the shoulders under and walk the hands down the straps to your ankles, holding the strap, pressing the outer arms down, roll it one more time onto the outer arms, and then from there, you're going to move the tailbone in, move the back thighs up. Both legs are parallel to one another. So you're using the press of the feet, the press of the shoulders, and you're lifting up. Chatushpadasana. So now you're in that same position we were when our thighs were on the floor and we were on the front of the body. Press and lift. And then release down. Okay, you can leave your straps on. We're going to not use the strap, but we'll bring the feet in and then lift the hips up. Come into Setu Bandha. You bring the block underneath your pelvis. Now have the block on the highest height. Feet are in line with one another. Thighs are parallel. If this is too high for you, you can bring the block onto the next lower height. Okay? Take your hands, interlace your fingers, rotate the shoulders. So again, the shoulders are rolling under and they're fixed on the floor. From there, you lift the chest. Lengthening the front body. And now, let's see how this works. You can extend your legs, but at the same time hold the strap. So you rotate the shoulders under. Have the feet hips width apart. Be on the heels evenly. Holding that strap, press the arms down and lift the chest. Keep the toes moving up toward the ceiling. So you're broadening the foot and you're lengthening through the Achilles. Straighten the thighs. So you're getting that curve to the back. You're using the thighs strongly and you're using the feet. If that's too much for you, stay with one bent knee and one straight leg. And then alternate. And then bring the feet back on the floor. And now come onto your toes, move your toes in, lift up, take the block away, and then move your hips back onto the floor. So if you didn't take the higher height, you could have taken the block this direction as well. So you can practice either like this, or completely flat. So sometimes I'll take the block flat after I've come down. And here you can even use this to come into an inversion. So I'm going to take the straps off. Well, actually, I'll leave them on. For those of you that haven't practiced this, you can bring the legs up and you can hold the strap to help you keep the leg lifted up. If you don't need to hold the strap, just let go of the strap and bring your arms over. Hips remain on the block, chest lifts, and just be there with your breath. So feel the lower back spreading and broadening across that block. Abdomen is moving down. So with your exhalation, releasing. And then you'll bring the feet down, lift up, take the block away. All right, I'm going to have you take your straps off now. And you can just set those straps to the side. And we'll come in just to a little bit of a passive twist here. So bring your arms out to the side, and you will lift the hips, bring the knees towards your chest, and just let the legs come over all the way to the floor. If that's too much for you, you can put a bolster under your legs, take one hand on your thigh, and just allow the legs to descend. This hip is moving away. And then adjust your shoulders. So untuck the lower shoulder and bring the opposite shoulder along the floor. So just be there. Let the breath relax the abdomen, the chest. This is a variation on Jatara Parivartanasana. It's a twist. Usually our legs would be lifted off the floor and our legs would be straight. But here we're bending the knees, more of a relaxation pose. And then bring the feet back to the center. Bring the knees, the hips over to the other side, and then roll over. So just let your knees come down. Move your hips away, and if this shoulder has lifted, catch it. So this shoulder has to lift up and turn. Bring your hand on your thigh, moving that hip away, getting that length through the side trunk. And extend that back arm so that you're bringing more weight onto that shoulder. Stay with your breath. And then bring your feet back on the floor. And if you have a bolster, it's a good time to get your bolster right now. All right, so I have my bolster. I brought it under my knees, calves, and thighs. Just the pelvis. Come down on the lower back, so the lower back is flat. And then just let your knees move to the side, your heels connecting. You can have the legs separated a little bit more if you want. And then adjust your shoulders, shoulder blades down. And just allow yourself to be there. Relax the hips. Feel the heaviness of the hips as you descend the breath. The legs are lifted so the femurs are moving down to the hip socket. And you can feel the weight on your lower back. It feels really nice for your lower back. Feels really nice for your legs. And just allow yourself to be here, releasing with each breath, taking your time in Shavasana. Feel your inhalation, feel your out exhalation, your in-breath, your out-breath. As the breath comes in, walk in with the breath, traveling inward with the breath. And as the breath moves out, traveling outward with the breath. Be in the center of that breath. Stay with the breath. So now just allow yourself to be here, enjoying the benefits of your practice. Namaste. Okay, thank you for joining me. Today was dedicated just to slowing down the practice a little bit, talking about what was essential, what are important points to know when you're going into backbending, and to make sure that you are practicing safely, okay? So energizing as backbends are, you need to make sure that you're taking your time, understanding what's happening in your body, and making adjustments where you need to. All right. So there's some other poses that you can do to add to this, some shoulder stand, some headstand. So if you'd like to supplement this practice with that, go ahead and do that. And I will see you next time. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.